Yeah, we'll just make a start. If you got any questions, just put it in the chat and I'll get back to the question. I thought we'd dissect NQ and gold, and then we'll look at any other pairs you guys want to go through. If at any point something's unclear, just let me know. But yeah, let's get right into it. So let's just look at NQ. So you can see from the higher time frame how we've induced sellers into the market. Okay, so we have a breaker structure to the downside, inducing sellers. Now, because we've induced sellers, the market's not just gonna run to all-time highs. It's gonna engineer liquidity. Okay, so what happens? Look at where all-time high is. Okay, as we approach all-time high, okay, and this is what happened this week, so it's fresh PA, okay. We come into this area and we engineer liquidity. Now, how do we engineer liquidity? Someone tell me in the chat, how did we engineer liquidity here? How did we engineer liquidity? So we respected the high from the left, correct, Jippy. So notice how we took out this inducement high, okay, this higher time frame inducement high. And why that is we just reacted from this candle to the left. I think it shows it better on the weekly. So we reacted from the candle from the left, and then we broke structure to the downside. So once we come and took that, okay, which we did on Monday, okay, we would look for a reaction down. Okay, now look what Tuesday did. It took out previous daily high on Monday. So Tuesday took out Monday's high, and then we sold off. Okay, we came in to fill this gap. Okay, so this gap here, and by having this break of structure, we've engineered liquidity to all-time high. So now we have a reason to move higher. Okay, so once Tuesday took out or sold off, and then Wednesday was FOMC, which essentially finished the job to the downside. We filled the gap, induced enough sellers, and then on Thursday and Friday is where we're starting to see that move up. And we'll look at this from a day by day basis, but just being able to identify what's happening on the higher time frame, so the daily, the 4 hour and the 1 hour, we can go down to lower time frames and essentially see what happens from there. Okay, so yeah, let's go down to the lower time frames and see what we did each day. So we'll just keep the same levels on. Okay, we'll keep the same levels on. Just make sure everything's recording. Just give me a second. Yeah, okay, cool. 1 second, guys. Cool. So yeah, we basically came and took out these highs. Okay, and this is all that Monday did. Okay, that's all Monday did. So Monday just came and took out those highs, and then there was no trade on Monday because all we did was on market open we gapped up. Okay, so we essentially just gapped up. Okay, took out that high from the left, and then we started to have that little sell-off. Okay, now this was during Asia on Tuesday. We can go down to lower time frames to see this as well. 1 second, guys. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, everything's clear so far. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Perfect. Just make sure we're still recording. Okay, cool. So now if we go into this price action here, okay, notice how we on Tuesday during Asia, okay, we basically had this BOS to the downside, okay, inducing sellers. Now these are traders who are trying to catch that reversal or being induced to sell. Okay, look at where we then come and we trap them, okay, during London session on Tuesday. We then have a break of structure to the downside, okay, and then we come up and we essentially we take out that high. Okay, and in doing so, by taking out that high, okay, we formed what we call an LB. Okay, so we've basically formed the LB there. Okay, and then we come back down. Now this is if we go down to lower time frames to have a look at this. Okay, so this is on Tuesday. I think this was just before market opened, okay, on Tuesday. Catching that extreme is not something I'd look at, okay. So you can see how we induced sellers, okay, and then we came and we trapped them, okay, on Tuesday. But that's not something I'd take. Because we took these lows as well from the left, okay, and then we come up and take that high, okay. If you really wanted to, okay, you could have taken this short from the high, had your LB at those highs over there, and then look at all this liquidity we have to the downside, okay. All this liquidity to the left, you can see this massive build up of buyers, okay, at these lows, okay. So essentially you could have literally been in and out on Tuesday just at these lows here, okay. So that was Tuesday's price action, okay. And then what did we do? We come and we respect this area to the left. Okay, again, notice that by having these breaker structures to the upside, we've now induced buyers to take positions. Okay, and so what buyers do, they come in, okay, and if we go down to, if we go up to a higher time frame, we can see that. Okay, so in order for us to go lower, we must induce higher, and that's exactly what we do here. Hold on. So just mark out this whole candle. Okay, we have a reaction at the low, and in moving up we are building liquidity. Okay, now what do we come and take? We take this liquidity. Okay, so we come up and we take that liquidity from the left. Okay, in doing so we have formed an LB. Okay, and again, if we just go down to lower time frames, we can see here that if you're a London trader, okay, what have we basically done? We've taken liquidity from the left, we formed an LB, and you can see a build-up of sellers at these highs. Okay, now I was waiting personally for these highs to get taken on the market open, which is here. However, we didn't get that. Okay, the market just did not take that out, so there was no trade for me there. Okay, and on market open, what we did on Wednesday is we induced buyers, okay, and then we came and we took out all of this liquidity from the left, essentially trapping those early buyers, and that's why we have that move back up. Now why I liked this was because think about the sellers that are trying to get in after seeing this move all the way back down. We come up and we trap them, forming another LB, okay, and look at where this reaction came from. It came from these lows here, okay. Now how could you have gotten into a trade on Wednesday? You could have just seen that these highs getting taken, and you could have entered knowing that there's still liquidity above and covered your stop loss, and then you would have targeted the lows. So that's one way. And then another way, and this is an entry that I took on the lower time frames, is this. So I'll just move this to the left. So once we formed an LB and we start to break down, we've induced buyers, okay, by taking out this high from the left. So any reactions on this leg up should be false. So what do? We react, okay, inducing sellers, and then we come up and we trap them, okay. Now this is before FOMC, so I'm just trying to be in and out of the market here. We formed an LB, we then move further down in the leg, okay, and we come and we take out that build up, okay. Look how we have a low, a lower high, lower low. We've respected and moved away. We have liquidity up here, and this is a trade that I actually took. I had my stop above that LB, and I just took out full position once we took out this low, and the market just came with speed. Look at that 1 minute candle, just, you know, coming and taking all of that liquidity on Wednesday, okay. And then you can see how we've now taken all of that liquidity from the left, okay, and we've come into that gap. So that was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now by taking out these lows, what we've essentially done is induce sellers, okay. We've induced sellers, and what does the market do? Okay, it then has, again, this is now approaching the PM session before FOMC. We induce sellers at these highs here, where we took that entry, where that LB is. Look at that build up, okay. And what's really nice to see is that we still have that LB above. And if we just clear everything to the left to make it easier to see, okay. So if we make it easier to see, we have a build up, and I believe this is literally exactly 1 minute before FOMC. We spike that high and then we sell off, okay, taking out all of this liquidity from the left. Now I personally wouldn't be trying to catch a trade exactly at FOMC, but you could have taken this, covered that high, but remember we still have that liquidity from the left that wasn't taken, okay. So very, very risky to take this. Not something that I'd personally trade or take at all. These are trades where you could end up blowing accounts and losing or getting taken out on CFDs with a lot of spread. So spreads are really high during high impact news events. So yeah, I would have just that's not even a 1 to 3 as well. So yeah, I would have just waited. So let's just carry on. So FOMC happens, we have this massive sell-off, okay, to the downside. Okay, now if we look at it from a higher time frame, okay, FOMC has come and we've just sold off, filled this gap. Now if you look at this to the left, we have an LB here. Now if you were looking or listening to what I was just saying, I was saying how we have a clean direction to all-time highs. This sell-off has induced loads of sellers. There's an LB directly to the left. Now, this could have been a higher time frame entry. You would have literally just, as soon as the market sold off, taken a position and covered your stops below. Now, you would have been just targeting or partialing at these highs and then leaving the rest or a runner to all-time highs. And so that was Wednesday's price action. We sold off, and then after a massive sell-off, think about all of the sellers that are now induced into positions. Okay, we have an LB form, and all price does is break structure and respect these lows. So we now have liquidity below. Okay, think about all of these sellers that are getting into positions. Okay, so on Thursday, all we're doing is inducing sellers and early buyers. We come and take out this high. Okay, so all of this liquidity from the left gets taken. Now, there is a counter bias opportunity here, but it's not something I like, where we've taken out that inducement high, okay, and we form an LB. So we form an LB there. Go down to lower time frames to see this. So we form an LB over here. Why is that an LB? Because we induced lower and then we trapped, and then we essentially induced buyers, took out these highs and another LB there. So you could have just taken maybe position here. I would have just covered the highest LB, and then you would have just targeted a build up. So notice how where we broke structure, respected this low, and then moved away. So you have liquidity at these lows. So it doesn't really fit my 1 to 3 minimum, but you see how we have all of this liquidity below. So I would have just made sure that I was targeting at least a 1 to 3. Again, these are just all lows to the left. But what we've basically done here is we have an LB, we've induced buyers, trapped them. Okay, this is Friday, and then we've essentially started to move back up. Okay, that could have been a potential entry, but for me, not high probability, because we still have all that liquidity below that the market could have hunted for. So you could have taken it as soon as that low went, covered your, especially if you were trading during London. But it's not something I'd take, especially on a Friday, and then just targeted that build up. So notice how we're just having a build up of sellers from these highs. So that's something you could have taken as well. And then, yeah, going into the new week, I am looking for, as you can see, we've induced buyers. Hopefully, I want to see some buyers trapped first before we move back up to all-time highs. Okay, so the direction on NQ is pretty clear. Okay, we've induced sellers and we're now moving back up, okay, to trap them. And that's pretty much the price action on NQ. Anyone got any questions? Now's your chance to ask. Any questions? Feel free. You read the market so easily. It just takes a lot of experience. When our bias is for buy in NQ, why did we sell on Thursday? I just explained that was on Thursday. Hold on Thursday. Why did we sell? Because we took out these highs from the left, Chitano. We took out a higher time frame inducement high, so we would have seen that sell off on Thursday. Okay. Yeah, we took out these highs, but this is not something I'd take, especially the time. It's like near market close. I'm just giving you guys an opportunity to see where the counter bias move would have been. Okay. Yeah, I'll check gold in a second. How do I get good at reading the market as good as you? What should I study to understand it? Train your eyes literally to find liquidity. Okay. But yeah, that was pretty much NQ. So some opportunities there. Any other questions on NQ? No, that's Darius, that's an LB. I'd class that as an LB, yeah. Okay, let's look at gold. So the gold market just selling off. Now, if I just mark out liquidity on the higher time frame, okay, notice how we respected 4,042.2. Okay, so if I just zoom in, so you can see we respected that low and we moved away and we induced buyers in doing so. That was on Monday. So Monday we induced buyers. We came in, respected this high on Tuesday. Wednesday we took out that high and then we started to sell off. Okay, so on Wednesday is when we took out Monday's high and then we started to see that move down. Now from a higher time frame perspective, I see gold moving down to 4,042.2. Not much opportunity on gold, if I'm honest. Not much opportunity on gold. So FOMC comes and takes out that high. Okay, and sells off. What did we do beforehand? We're just engineering liquidity on Monday. Okay, building buyers into the market. Okay, and then we just sell off. Okay, we take all of these buyers out. Now, once we've taken all of these sellers out, okay, the market does come and take out this high. So essentially what we do is we form an LB here. Okay, however, we're just respecting the gap, and then we come and we, during Asia, just respect that LB. Okay, and then we just sell off. Now look at all we've done is just sell off from here. Okay, we come back up, we take these highs on Thursday, I believe it was. Yeah, we take these highs, but no entry there for me. Okay, and then Friday we just keep on selling off. If you look at it from an hourly perspective, we've just been selling off, leaving liquidity. Okay, so yeah, I expect now that we've taken an inducement low from the left, we can see a move up, hopefully take out some liquidity. Okay, and then just sell off. We might even just gap down, but then just take out these lows to the left, and you can see how the market's just engineered a lot of liquidity to the upside. So I don't want to be catching extremes, but once we take out these lows, we would have trapped all of these buyers. And to be honest, it does look clean, because if you look at it from a higher time frame, we came, induced buyers, so we broke structure, and now we're coming to trap those buyers whilst also engineering liquidity to the upside. So hopefully we can see some buys up once those lows have been taken. But that was pretty much it on gold. Yeah, Friday was bank holiday, so not much. Yeah, that was pretty much NQ and gold. Any questions you guys have? Any charts that you want me to look at? Any losses that you would have taken and want me to go through? Feel free. Now's your chance to ask me, guys. YM HK50. Never heard of that. German 40. No, I'll let Merv. I'll just let more PA build on gold once those lows go. Okay, the Hong Kong index. Okay, I'll look at that in a second. We'll look at German 40. We can do that. Ger 40. Okay. Just make sure that we're still recording. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully. So, if we're looking at German 40, okay, we do have higher time frame bias to the highs. Okay, we came into there and sold off, and we tapped into. Notice that reaction before inducing buyers and then trapping them, and then we come into this LB, so this whole candle. Okay, and then we take out that previous daily low. Okay, so that was probably the previous week. Yeah, and then during the last week, so all we've done is trickle higher on the higher time frame. So yeah, you can see that here. So we form an LB on Friday, so we induce buyers, trap them. I mean, if you got in on Friday, this isn't too bad as a higher time frame entry. So you would have taken a long here, covered these lows, and then ride it to all-time highs. It's a higher time frame position I wouldn't mind being in, to be honest. However, what we done on Monday, literally we induced buyers. We've taken these highs from the left, so we induced buyers, came back into the lows, induced higher again, and then we trap at the lows. So we trap on Tuesday, Um, Wednesday, we come up higher, come back down to the lows. However, we took this high out from the left, so that inducement high. So it just makes it lower probable to take these positions, because the market could have come and taken these lows. And then we're just building. Yeah, you can see how we just have a massive build up of price. Okay. So massive build up. So hopefully what we can see going into this week on German 40 is a sell-off. Okay. Taking out all these buyers and then making our way back up. Yeah, that's pretty much what I see on German 40. Maybe we come and take this extreme inducement low. So maybe we go down and then go back up. No worries, Zach. You didn't look for longs on NQ on Thursday? No, because we took out a high from the left. So buyers were already induced. I was waiting to see a trap. What's higher time frame bias in AU? I had this mapped out actually. Let's just go through AU. I think on, yeah, I had this marked out when I was just reviewing AU. I think right before FOMC there was a clean short down. Okay, so essentially what we've done is we've taken these highs out, respected these lows, we come up, we form an LB, we come back down to these lows, respect it, inducing buyers, take out these early sellers, and then we sell off. Okay, we have this massive sell off. Now what have we done? Okay, I'm looking for AU to come and take out these lows here, 0.69654. That's the next target for me, because that's where we've engineered liquidity. We've had our break of structure from there, that low to the left. Yeah, I'm hoping everyone can see what I'm talking about here. So we just take out this whole candle. That's basically where we've had the reaction that broke structure to the upside. So we can see that move back down, hopefully. I'm hoping that answered your question. Yeah, the strategy can be applied on any asset, to be honest. It's literally liquidity, and that's what I believe the markets run on. So yeah, for sure. Any other questions, guys? We can look at a few other pairs if you want. BTC, US 30. Okay, cool. Let's just quickly look at BTC. So on Monday, so we've had this massive sell-off, taking out these lows from the left, so you can expect a pullback. We come and take that inducement high. Look at how we built at that inducement high as well. Okay, and then we break structure from there as well. Or we've left liquidity, in fact, there. I don't think we've taken that out. We come up, take these highs. Okay, we sell off from here. Yeah, I mean, BTC is looking really good to the downside, you know. I think we come take these highs, so just put an arrow. We take these highs and then move lower. For sure, I don't know where from, but once we take those highs out, okay, we can look for that move down. 49k. Yeah, that's BTC for sure. YM, so US 30, it's at all-time highs. Like, what do you expect? It's come and taken all-time highs out. We on Thursday sold off, respecting these lows here. Nothing on US 30, to be honest. Yeah, look how we induced buyers. Yeah, nothing on US 30. Hopefully take out these lows. Just trading at all-time highs, not something I'm interested in. Would you go long on German 40, or do you want the gap to be filled first? German 40? What gap? What gap? The gap? What gap are you talking about? Okay. Yeah, sweep of daily lows and highs is a good confluence, but it's not what we base our direction on. We base our direction on liquidity. Yeah, I'd want to see. Let me just see your. Yeah, I'd want to see that gap taken. GJ. I was looking at GJ the other day. We've taken that high from the left. The Forex pairs have just been really crappy in terms of PA. So we induced buyers taking out that high from the left. We come back down and we just respect this low. Okay, and we've just been moving higher. We took out so look at what we did actually on a daily time frame. We induced lower, okay, and then we formed this LB before we took out that low. We then broke structure from this high, and we've just respected it and moved away, and we've taken all of that liquidity. But it's just in no man's land at the minute, because what we now have is we have liquidity above and below. So just nothing high probable enough for me to look at, especially when you have liquidity on both sides. So the yen pairs are just not. HK50, yeah, the yen pairs are not something I'd be looking at. HK50, Hong Kong. I've never looked at this in my life, and it looks terrible. Let's have a look. So took out this high, took out this low, trapped buyers, moved up. We've just respected liquidity. Where did we yeah, maybe we just continue moving lower. There's loads of liquidity to the downside still. So 23,684 is your next bet on HK50. I do see it lower. Nifty 50, what's that? Nifty 50. What do I type in TradingView? Any liquidity above? No, because we spiked out previous weekly high and took out previous weekly low. We're coming into an area. Let's look at it on a daily. Yeah, no liquidity. I don't see any liquidity. Nifty is an Indian index. What? What pairs are you guys looking at, man? Nifty 50. Mate, I've never heard of that. Let's use the futures index. The fact that there's just... What do you guys trade? Genuinely. Okay, so we've come into like an LB area. Taken liquidity from the left. Taken this high. Taken... Yeah, just more downside, hopefully. Yeah, so we've induced higher. Maybe we see a lows taken, trap, or come to fill this gap, and then we move and take out these highs. Yeah, look how we're building liquidity as well. Yeah. Yeah. USD CAD. I mean, what is there to trade? Taking these highs, to be honest. There's just no liquidity there on the charts for me. Just no liquidity on the charts. You just want to see more PA builds. Look how on Monday took out Friday's low, and we've just moved bullish since, taking out the highs from the left. You just need to see more PA build. You've got liquidity below and above, so yeah, this is getting recorded. If you're a lifetime member, you'll see it on the WAP hopefully today, if not tomorrow. But yes, this is getting recorded. Yeah, I think you have to be subscribed as a lifetime member to see this recording. Do you consider timing as a confluence? Yeah, I do. There was a long on German 40 on Wednesday around 3 p.m. EST. We can look at it. So German 40 Wednesday. Three p.m. is about 8 o'clock GMT. So, oh, you're talking about here. So we took liquidity from the left. Yeah, I can see. I can see the position you would have taken. Yeah, so we basically broke higher. We can look at this actually. So we're in an LB area. We induced higher. So I don't know why it doesn't just... There we go. So we induced higher, we came lower, and we took out that liquidity. So we've trapped early buyers. We then move up, we've induced sellers, we have this massive sell-off. So we take out all that liquidity, form an LB. We're still below these highs, okay? but we took this high out, so not the highest probable trade. But then yeah, we took out these highs, which allows us to take our lows. Yeah, that's where you would have taken your entry. What time is that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the trade you're talking about, but yeah, that's the trade that you could have taken. Look at the reaction from here. Yeah, you would have just targeted. Yeah, that would have been in and out, to be fair. That build up at these highs. Yeah. That's the only. Yeah, there's nothing else. That's a nice trade. I've already looked at Nifty 50. Time-based liquidity. Yeah, so generally, like on indices, the 10 a.m. candle, if it spikes the previous 4-hour high or low, you tend to see a reaction. Same whenever you take a 4-hour high and low. It's just where loads of clusters of stop losses are. Jack Backy 10. Guys, you guys, I don't know if you're trolling me. What assets are these? Mate, what assets are you guys trading? Genuinely, I'm confused. Yeah, that's an LB. So we spiked lower, formed another LB. Spiked lower, formed an LB. Yeah, notice you would have covered your LB. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know what you guys are trading. Jack Backy 10. What even is that? What? That doesn't even exist. Oh, this guy trolling me. Yeah. Funny guy. Any other pairs? I mean, we could look at the Dixie. I mean, I was just analyzing that. I think we see those highs. I've had those for a while and been saying it in every webinar. 101.977. I think we come for those highs. Let's see. Makes sense with AU direction to the lows. I've already explained why it's an LB CK. It induced buyers and then trapped them. Oil. Yeah, we can look at oil. I've had this marked for ages. Wow. Oil looks like we can have a move up, maybe come for this gap on the daily. Let me remove my charts. So we broke higher, sold off, respected, engineered liquidity. We come. That's where the reaction come from. Took that low. So in these scenarios, because there's still liquidity below that, you can see a move up and then eventually a move back down. And look what it's done whilst moving up after it's taken this liquidity. Okay, so we essentially formed an LB here. Yeah, maybe we see a reaction and then we come and take those lows to the left. And we are in an LB here. Yeah, I see gold moving higher. Sorry, not gold. oil. So maybe we come lower and then we move higher. Maybe we come to take out this gap. Yeah, oil does look bullish. Do you set yourself a trade limit for evals like past the challenge and max? Nah, I just pass it when I pass it. I don't give myself 10 trades or anything like that. I don't know what MU is. What is MU? Man, what is going on here? We're at all-time highs. Why would I don't even trade stocks, but why would you trade it at all-time highs? It just doesn't make any sense. Prat up, come on. No, I don't see Jeff 40 lower. Yeah, no, we've already induced sellers. I don't think we see it lower. When I want to take a sell trade, is it safe to short just after the high or low liquidity is taken? Yeah, you want to see liquidity from the left taken. From the left, SL. Yeah. NZD, USD. Just what am I even looking at here? It does make sense though. Like, so for example, we induced buyers, trapped them, and we saw that massive move up, inducing sellers. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it just goes with what I was just saying about the dollar moving higher. I do see we've taken out those highs and there's more downside potential. That's an LB. Yeah, so I see it moving lower, just looking at it from a higher time frame. No worries. Any other questions, guys? Is it a lower probability trade because it took the high? Yeah. GABA, yes. If it respects the inducement high and moves back and takes that low, it's a much higher probability. To collect data on it. Yeah, this will be going up on what? Yeah, for sure. Any other questions, guys? I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through. Unless you guys have any other questions, we can call it for this week. And hopefully you guys can take a lesson in this, in just trading 1 to 2 pairs and ones that are quite volatile. Nothing like the ones you guys have been sending me. We don't trade a specific time frame. You know, price is fractal enough, and we trade liquidity, so we don't trade a specific time frame. Please just explain a high probability setup. It's literally what we've been explaining in the course and the YouTube videos that Marco has put on, you know, all of those. So yeah, you can find it in there. Best pairs to trade, in my opinion, like focusing on 1 to 2 pairs. Gold, NQ are the main pairs that I trade. They're the only ones I look at. Like you can see on my futures, I literally have gold and NQ, and then on the CFDs, these are the pairs that I have. It doesn't mean I trade them, I just look at those. Yeah, I sent you what was very unclear for me personally. Yeah, that's fine. I'll look at it if you've DM'd me. That's fine. I'll have a look at it. Any other questions before we finish, guys? No worries, guys. Yeah, I trade by M, but not at all-time highs. No worries, guys. Have a good week, and I'll see you guys on Monday for another trading week. We go again. Take care, guys.